Hey everybody, Rosematter here. Welcome to part 22 of my Steins Gate Zero Let's Play. We had quite a bit happen in a short amount of time last time. The big thing was the return of Hoyen Kiyoma. He is back after a good hit by Suzuha. So he's fully on board to stopping World War III. And he's convinced Maho to help him out. They're going to destroy all of Kirisu's memory so that her information on the time machine can't get to anybody, and hopefully they will be able to prevent World War III from happening. But they ran into a little bit of a snag because Kagari got like brainwashed by Stratfor, and they were playing the magic flute on a van that was driving around Tokyo. She heard it and just took off, seemingly to go back to Stratfor so that they can implant Kirisu's memories into her. So obviously we have to stop that from happening. We have been told that in order to get Kagari back, we need to bring Kirisu's laptop and hard drive and do the exchange, but Mooka has said that they're not going to do what we want them to do. They are going to probably kill Kagari if they don't need her anymore, if they've got Kirisu's information. So we have a gun. We're going to be going with Suzuha to meet up with these people, and we're going to try and finish off this route, the promised Oh my gosh, why can I never remember how to say it? The promised RINASCIMENTO. So we're going to finish that off today, hopefully. Hopefully you guys are looking forward to the conclusion of this, and then we are going to be just having to do a couple more routes, and we're all done with Steins Gate Zero. So anyway, let's get back into it. Let's see how this route concludes. The lights were still on at the building in Konda. Even at this hour, the gate was open. That's how colleges were. As expected, we made it inside with no trouble. Yep. That's right, didn't he say, like, or, yeah, there's a thing about, like, the... Oh, yeah, that's right. There was, like... It's a good thing he's got all this information that he just happens to know exactly where it is. It's inside Tokyo University.
Ah, そのはずだ.
If Daru's information from 2036 was right, Stratfor's base was here at my university, Tokyo Denki. Several buildings occupied the school's Konda campus, Building 1, Buildings 5 through 7, and Buildings 11 through 15. How perfect it's a place that he's very familiar with. Buildings 5, 6, 10, and 15 were scattered throughout the surrounding neighborhood, but the remainder were in their own little isolated area. The only two of those with basements were 11 and 15, like... So perfect that he just knows this information off the top of his head. And my guess was Stratfor's base was here in Building 11. It was not only the building with the newest equipment, but it was a big building with 17 floors and lots of foot traffic going in and out. I didn't know how many people Stratfor had working for them, but at least some of them had to have been out looking for me, which meant this place would be less well guarded than usual. And I had Suzuha with me too. This was doable.
こっちだ.
I led Suzuha straight down the stairs. And there were 3 elevators in the building, but Suzuha had decided taking them would be dangerous. They could potentially be trapped. The problem was what lay below. There were over 20 rooms of varying sizes in the 2-story basement. Which one of them was their base?
おじさん、こっち。
わかるのか?
思い出した。ここなら昔潜入したことがある。私が知ってる建物はもう崩れかけで、外観も全然変わってたからわからなかったけど、間違いない。
Suzuha led me down the corridors without hesitation. With her gun in hand and her hips dropped low to the ground to avoid making noise as she ran, she looked just like a cat. She stopped in front of one of the rooms and nodded to me. It seemed no different than any of the others, but there was no nameplate on it. This was supposed to be a large generator room, as I recalled.
私はかがりを救出する。おじさん、自分の身は自分で守ること。
ああ。
I took the Glock out from my belt. It was heavy in my hands. Suzuha taught me how to use it, but I'd never fired it before and wasn't sure I'd be able to. But it would still serve as a bluff.
行くよ。3、2、1.
After she finished her countdown, Suzuha shot off the doorknob, kicked open the door, and ran into the room. She did it all in one swift movement. I ran in after her and realized immediately that something was wrong. The first thing I noticed was the stench. It was an iron smell strong enough to make you puke. That's blood, right? Blood? Yeah, blood. The floor of the room was covered with blood. There were bodies, too. 4 or 5 of them. Of course, Suzuha hadn't done it. It was already like this when we got here.
どういうことだ
Suzuha was slowly working her way forward. I followed her. Some of the bodies were Japanese, and some were American. The room continued on. A large man was lying face down next to a half-open door. Next to him was... Of
思っ
course,
たよ
it's
りも早
you.
かったわね、リンタロウ。
And this is the room that we were trapped in the first one, right?
バカ
This
な
looks very familiar. The voice saying my name was voluptuous and feminine, and its accent was foreign.
レイエス教授
元気そうで何よりだわ。
どうして
ちょっと探し物を返してもらおうかと思って。
She's just saying like it's the most casual thing in the world. Dr. Reyes spun around quickly and smoothly like a dancer. Kagari was seated behind her.
かがりどうしたかがり聞こえないのか
There was some kind of strange mechanical device over her head. No matter how much I called out her name, she didn't move an inch.
あら、せっかく気持ちよく眠ってるんだから、起こしてあげたらかわいそうよ。
Her smile was sharp and cold. It completely lacked the warmth I'd seen when we first met.
気をつけろ、そいつ軍人だ。
Suzuha already had her gun drawn at Reyes, but Reyes didn't seem concerned in the slightest.
軍人
Tanuji had said that, come to think of it, that the group looking for Kagari was with the Western military, and he'd wondered if a normal spy would have taken their own life.
そっちのあなた、何者？
かがりを返せ。
いい顔ね。日本にもそういう顔をできる人間がいるなんて知らなかった。とりあえず銃をこちらに。でないと椎名かがりは死ぬわよ。
かがりを殺した瞬間に、私がお前を殺す。
あらそう。私は組織で動いている。私一人を殺したところで状況は変わらないわよ。
スズハ
Suzuha laid the gun at her feet, frustrated, but Reyes doesn't know that we have a gun too. Hopefully that will be the, the thing that's going to actually save Kagari. We'll see.
いい子ね。ついでにそこで両手を頭の後ろに置いて立ってなさい。
She'll probably see, like, me as I'm not even a threat. Like, she can look at Suzuha and immediately know, like, she's had some training.
それでリンタロウ、交換条件は提示したはずだけど、ちゃんと持ってきてくれたの？あらあら、いけない子ね。持ってきていないなら、こちらとしては椎名かがりは渡せないわ。
She'd said Kagari was asleep, but when I looked closer, I saw that her eyelids weren't fully closed. From what little I could see of her eyes, they were empty and devoid of light.
かがりに何をした
残念だけど、まだ何もしていないわ。彼らが使っていた子守歌をちょっと聞かせてあげただけ。でも、あなたが交換条件に応じる気がないみたいだから、これから始めてしまおうかしら。
She rubbed Kagari's cheeks with the barrel of the gun, a look of ecstasy on her face.
クリスの PC とハードディスクは特別な場所に隠してある。かがりを渡さないならこっちも教えるつもりはない。先にかがりを解放しろ。
交渉は無駄よ、リンタロウ。そっちが渡す気がないなら、こっちはこっちのやり方をさせてもらうわ。
It wasn't a threat or a bluff. Reyes was acting like this was an everyday conversation. With all the blood and stench around us, that somehow made it even creepier.
これはあなたがやったのか。
ええ。彼らも余計な真似をしなければ、もう少し長生きできたのに。残念ね。
どうしてこんな真似を。
簡単なことよ。私の正体に気づいたから。
正体。
そこの彼女が言ってたでしょ。
軍か。
同時に研究者でもある。ダーパ。
Okay, this is a new thing.
どうせわからないでしょうけど。
Well, thankfully it'll mean something to us, because we'll check the tips. DERPA, fictional, the American Defense Ultimate Research Projects Agency, created to adapt the latest scientific technology for military purposes. It reports directly to the President of the United States and the Secretary of Defense. Staffed by around 300 people, many of whom are non-military civilians. Since it reports directly to the Secretary of Defense, it is kept free of direct military influence. Researchers in DERPA are given wide latitude to pursue projects they find interesting. During the days of its predecessor, ERPA, it was responsible for the development of ERPANETs, which would later become the Internet as well as the Global Positioning System. That's pretty cool. That's what I love about Steins Gate is I know that they take influence from the real world and like the different organizations and things like that, but it's still, there's so much lore, like fictional lore, that is specific to this game. It's pretty crazy. I could hear Maho's voice through my Bluetooth microphone. I'd left my phone connected to Daru so we could stay in touch if we needed to. Buy time? Now? It would be impossible. But I'd asked Daru for the impossible many times before. Now it was my turn. I couldn't let her hurt Kagari. Take out that gun. That'll distract her. Suzuha had lost her weapon. It'd be hard to do this by force. Maybe you could shuffle the gun over to her, because, I don't think Okabe's going to be able to do anything with it. Just need to keep her occupied.
その軍の人間がどうして。
もともと私の所属するチームはブレインウォッシングの研究をしていたのよ。
It's a good thing that everybody just loves to explain their plans.
洗脳。それじゃあ、かがりは。
言っておくけど、彼女をこうしたのは私じゃない。彼らよ。
Them. She must have meant the people lying on the floor.
どうだか。そもそも、なぜ軍の人間が洗脳の研究なんてする必要がある。
There was no need to even ask. But I needed to buy time for Daru to finish his hacking.
決まってるでしょ。思い通りに動く戦士を作るためよ。文句を言うこともなく、死を恐れることもない。国のために身を捧げる最強の戦士を作るため。別に珍しいことじゃないわ。そんなの100年以上も前から世界中で行われているもの。でもね、洗脳なんて面倒なことをしなくても最強の戦士を作り上げられると私たちは気づいたの。それが AI 戦士よ。
AI 戦士。
The name alone made it seem like the title of a cheap sci-fi movie, but that also just made it creepier. Here I was thinking that this was related to the time machine, but okay, I guess not. That they have mentioned it before, I believe, the whole thing about wanting to make soldiers and stuff. Or maybe this is the first time. They dump a lot of information on you. And it's hard to keep track with all of the different routes, like what information has been given already.
なるほどな。人工知能を兵士の頭の中に植え付けるというわけか。
The reason why I figured that they were so hell-bent on getting Kirisu's information specifically is because she had information on the time machine. And they also had to know, Kagari Shina, they had to know who she was. How did they know her full name, right? Unless they just happened to capture her and she gave them her name?
そうすれば、一様に高度な頭脳と思考を持つ戦士を
It could just be like they
大
said
量に
that
生み出すことができる。
they focused on taking people as experiments, people who didn't have any family, and considering that Kagari was just a kid who just ran away from Suzuha, she was all alone, she'd be easy to kidnap.
へえ。
それに、特殊技能についての記憶を兵士全員にインストールすれば、全員がどんなミッションもこなせる兵士にだってなれる。
その通り。リンタロ、理解が早いわね。しかも ゆくゆくは共識化することでより綿密で高度な連携を図れるようにもなる。どう？すごいでしょ？
そんなの許されるわけがない。
陳腐なセリフね。
I was worried Suzuha might jump at her in fury, but she stayed completely calm. Reyes was right next to Kagari. No matter how fast Suzuha was without a gun, Kagari was still in danger. If I knew Suzuha, she was watching the situation carefully, waiting for an opening.
いい？私たちは世界の治安を守っているの。我が軍があるからこそ世界の平和は保たれているのよ。そのための戦士になれるのなら彼らだって本望のはず。
It was selfish reasoning. There was no way I or anyone else could accept it. But is he going to tap into his Hyun Kyoma?
面白い。
He'd be like, tell me more about it. Actually, I'm on board with it, but I must know more.
レイエス教授、いや、
He is. I love he's tapping into
貴
the
様、
Hyun Kyoma.
なかなか面白いじゃないか。
Maybe he'll just confuse her. She'd be like, what? I saw Suzuha's gaze dart over to me for just a moment. Her eyes seemed to criticize me, but she didn't say anything.
リンタロウ？
リンタロウではない。
My job right now is to keep her busy until Daru broke the lock on the files, which meant that now was the time to act. This is amazing. To act the part of the biggest fool that I could. That was my job.
我が名は法院京馬。世界の支配構造を覆し、混沌に陥れる男。
一体何の冗談？
この狂気のマッドサイエンティスト、法院京馬が認めてやろう。貴様、なかなかにマッドだ。
Are moderately mad.
ほう。何？
I did not see this coming.
法院京馬だ。岡部倫太郎とは世を欺くための仮の姿。その正体こそこの俺。不死鳥のごとくよみがえるマッドサイエンティストだ。
何それ？あなたユニークね。
For a moment her mouth had hung open in shock, but she quickly regained her cocky smile. But I couldn't back down now.
レイエス、これまで貴様がやってきたことはすでに把握した。
Oh, is he gonna also use maybe his like knowledge of the future to, like, I don't know, catch her off guard?
貴様は AI 戦士の研究のためにビクトル・コンドリア大学に教授として潜り込んだ。そしてその過程でアマデウスプロジェクトにたどり着いた。そうだな。
ええ、その通りよ。アマデウスはなかなかに面白いプロジェクトだったわ。でもそれよりも面白かったのは。
She stepped on the body next to her as if it were an object, not a human being.
アマデウスプロジェクトの陰に見え隠れする彼らの存在よ。案の定探りを入れてみたらとんでもないものが見えてきた。何が出てきたかはあなたも知ってるでしょ。
タイムマシン。
Okay, there we go. Now we're back to the time machine. Reyes flashed me a dazzling smile and nodded.
なるほどな。人類の夢であり、決して作り出すことのできないと言われたタイムマシン。その理論が記された論文の存在に気づいたか。それを手に入れれば、世界の覇権をも手に入れることができると。だが、くだらんな。貴様らの考えることは皆同じだ。
くだらないですって。
ああ、実にくだらん。世界の覇権、国家のため、組織のため、機関のため、どれも歪小な目的だ。 そんなもののために世紀の大発明を利用するなど科学者として下の下。
私は科学者である前に軍人よ。国に命を捧げたものなの。我が国が世界の覇権を手に入れればそれだけで抑止力になる。それは世界のためでもあり人類のためでもあるのよ。
Her voice was rising in excitement.
だから決して他の国に先を越されるわけにはいかない。革命的な理論を私たちが手に入れることで世界の均衡は守られる。世界の平和は保たれるのよ。それを他の国に、ましてや一民間企業に手に入れられるなど許すものですか。
それがこれだけの人間を手にかけた理由か。あえてもう一度言おう。くだらないな。
あらそう。彼らには悪いことをしたと思ってるわ。
She didn't really sound like she meant it.
本当なら彼らを泳がせるだけ泳がせておいて、全てを手に入れてからデータを頂戴するつもりだったの。
ならなぜ殺した。
スパイとして潜り込ませていた部下の一人がヘマをしでかしちゃったのよ。だからそれについてはこちらの落ち度だと思ってるわ。でもね、彼らだって悪いのよ。うちには民間の研究者も在籍しているの。そちらに席を用意するって提案したのに欲を出して要求を突きつけてきたりなんかするから。才能のある人間を失うのは不本意だわ。
The corners of her mouth rose a little as she spoke. It didn't seem like she really felt that way at all.
さて、ここで一つ提案。岡部倫太郎、あなたうちに来ない？
He's like, I am Hoyen Kiyoma, not Rintaro.
何。
あら、意外って顔ね。一体何のためにわざわざこんな話をしたと思うの？
Because you're a villain and that's what villains do.
なんて
Yeah.
日本のサムライシネマの
I
中
love
だ
that
け
she
の
called
話
that
でし
out.
ょ。
Amazing. Although she's done that a couple times. She did that with Maho as well. She told her the whole thing too. So she's she can say that all she wants, but I feel like she can't help but monologue a little bit.
心配しなくていいわ。私たちは国籍なんて問わないし、お望みならばグリーンカードだって用意してあげられる。
つまり俺のこの法院清間の才能を認めたというわけか。
もちろん才能のない人間には声をかけたりなんてしないわ。あなたには才能がある。それにマキセ・クリスの友人でもある。
The real reason she was interested in me was probably the latter. It was far too obvious.
マキセ・クリスのタイムマシン理論について俺が彼女から何か聞いているかもしれない。そう期待しているわけだ。だからこの俺が欲しいと。
役に立つ人間は引き抜く。正当な対価も払う。それが私たちの生きる世界のルールだもの。
ということは役に立たなくなったら俺もそこに転がっている彼らのようになるわけだな。
それはあなたの働きと心がけ次第じゃないかしら。
Reyes laughed and went around behind Kagari. She seemed to be moving casually, but since Suzuha didn't pounce, she probably hadn't left any openings.
誰まだなのか。
I was hitting my limit for buying time.
まあ、ゆっくり考えて。
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for giving us time to think about it.
ん？
この俺の才能に目をつけるとはなかなかのハイエストアイの持ち主だ。
ハイエストアイ？
目が高いという意味だ。メリケン人なのにそんなこともわからないとはな。だがまあいい。科学者として下の下だと言った さっきの言葉を取り消してやろう。何せこの俺の才能を見抜いたのだからな。
あら、それならこちらの提案に乗ってくれるのね。
断る。
Refuse, yes. Hell yeah.
なぜならこの俺は法院京馬だからだ。
He's like, I work for nobody except myself.
狂気のマッドサイエンティストは孤高の存在でなければならない。いついかなる時も何者にも属してはならない。それが宿命。
I love how he says that, and he has how many lab members? Even when he truly believed he was Hoyen Kyoma, he had at least 8, right? At first, Reyes seemed surprised, but then she exhaled a long sigh.
まあ、それについては結論を急ぐ必要はないわ。彼女の処置が終わるまでゆっくり考えてもらって構わない。
かがりをどうするつもりだ。
Suzaha still had her hands behind her head, but if looks could kill, Reyes would be dead already.
分かりきったことでしょ。彼女の頭の中にマキセ・クリスの記憶を上書きするの。
それは。
Then in the other world line, maybe Durpa did that and not Stratford? And that wasn't all. Was the woman in the motorcycle suit who'd attacked the lab?
そんな顔しなくても大丈夫よ。このために今日まで動物や何人もの人間を使って実験を繰り返してきたんだから。
Reyes rubbed Kagari's cheeks lovingly.
そもそもこれまでのシステムには致命的な不具合があったの。でも今回はそれも解消した。その上彼女の高い適応力もある。きっと成功する。
Every single word she spoke, and she spoke so slowly. It felt like it was drawing me in.
クリスの記憶が、頭脳がこの子の中で再現されるのよ。そうなれば記憶のブラックボックスなんて存在しなくなる。私たちの言うがまま。彼女はきっとタイムマシンについても全部教えてくれる。もうクリスの PC もハードディスクもいらない。彼女さえいてくれればそれでいいの。
Reyes brought her crimson lips next to Kagari. I guess if it ends up getting Kirisu's, she gets Kirisu's memories, the only thing we could do is
あな
kill
ただってク
Kagari.
リスになりたいでしょ。
ダメだ、かがり。そいつの言葉を聞くな。
But Kagari didn't move at all.
天才と呼ばれたあの頭脳があなたのものになるのよ。世界に革新を起こす存在になれるの。素敵だと思わない？お返事は？
Kagari's lips moved a little.
いい子ね。
かがり。
リンタロ、これはあなたの選択でもあるのよ。素直にこちらの交換条件に応じていれば結果は変わったかもしれないのに。それにあなただって本当はクリスに会いたいんじゃないかしら。人間を構成するのは記憶よ。記憶がその人間を作り出しているの。
This goes against everything that they talked about the last time, right? When Kagari herself said she didn't want to have someone else's memories, like she wanted to be herself.
クリスの記憶を持ったカガリはクリスそのものになるわ。そうなればあなただって嬉しいでしょ。
Don't tell me he's gonna give into this and be like, oh, actually, maybe I do want this. Whereas before he was fighting that so hard to be like, no, like Kirisu, she's more than just her memories.
それにクリスだって。
ふざけるな！
I was surprised at how loud my voice was.
クリスが喜ぶだとそんなわけがあるか。仮にかがりの記憶がクリスのものにとって変わったとしてもそれはクリスじゃない。自分の記憶がそんな目的のために使われたってあいつは絶対に喜んだりしない。あいつを マキセ・クリスをバカにするな。
Is he actually gonna shoot her?
そう。残念だわ。いずれにせよ、結果は同じ。そこで、大切な人の記憶がこの子の中に受け継がれるのを、おとなしく見守っていなさい。
Reyes started to tap commands into the computer next to her. Suzuha was still calm. She wasn't attacking Reyes because she was waiting for Daru's word. Come on, Daru, come on!
まだなのか。すまん、オカリン。あとちょっと。もうすぐなんだが。
Shoot her! Shoot her! At least shoot at her, but then Reyes would probably just kill Okabe. Damn it.
おじさん、
Suzuha whispered to me.
場合によってはかがりを見捨て
Oh
る。
shit, wow.
私が動いたら伏せて。
Knowing Suzuha, she wouldn't hesitate.
はーい。準備 OK。
What do I do? Should I give up on her? I couldn't do that, could I? But either way, Kagari was doomed.
それじゃあ、さよなら、かがり。
Rey's thin fingers stretched out. And Suzuha moved. She closed the gap between her and Reyes in an instant. Yeah, a gunshot rang out. Suzuha's body shot back and fell to the floor.
Suzuha!
Well, this is not going well.
そう来ると思ったわ。残念だったわね。
But once again, she doesn't know we have a gun. Reyes had expected that. Of course she would. Of course she would think that Suzuha wasn't just going to stand there and let her do that. There was nothing I could do.
やめろ!
Before I could stop her, Reyes hit the keyboard. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What? Oh. Daru got in just in time. Did Suzuha, like, expect to get shot and she, like, did that to, like, distract Reyes just enough for Daru to be able to finish up?
どういうこと？どうして反応しないの？まさか、こいつ。God damn it! Shit!
Reyes pounded the keyboard again and again, swearing. Was there a problem with the system?
オカリンさん。
Kagari!
There was a small light in Kagari's empty eyes.
Bullshit!
With Reyes distracted, this was my chance.
Kagari! 来い!
オカリンさん。
Kagari ripped the device off her head, stood up, and managed to run a few steps before she fell over. I was like, Reyes is so gonna kill Kagari. Like, come on.
Kagari!
Okabe, you got the gun. You got the gun. Do something with it. I ran over and grabbed her. Reyes quickly brought her gun to bear. Another gunshot. I thought I'd been shot, but I hadn't. The gun knocked out of Reyes' hand was spinning on the floor. That's right, Suzuha. She probably was wearing like a
それ
bulletproof
以上
vest.
動くな。
I bet she was wearing a bulletproof vest. Suzuha slowly stood up. She was holding the gun that she just placed on the ground.
Suzuha! 無事だったか?
なんとかね。
Her shoulders were bloody, but it wasn't a fatal wound. She was lucky to survive a gunshot wound at that range. Oh, okay,
形
never
勢
mind.
逆転だな。
参ったわね。まさか、あなたみたいな子にしてやられるなんて。
Rhea shrugged her shoulders in surrender. I feel like she's got a backup plan.
ここで終わるわけにはいかないのよ。
動くなと言っている。
Reyes ignored her and picked up the strange headset that Kagari had been wearing. Suzuha gripped her gun more tightly.
ちなみに私、小型の爆弾をポケットの中に持ってるの。奥歯をちょっとだけ噛みしめれば、それで起爆するのよ。この至近距離なら、あなたたち3人も巻き込まれちゃうでしょうね。
自爆する気か。
敵に情報が渡るぐらいなら死を選べと教育されているの。悲しいことにね。
はったりだ。
そう思うなら、撃てばいい。
Suzuha moved to pull the trigger.
待て、鈴葉。今はダルを信じろ。
Oh, so wait. Okay, what that happens to the system that wasn't Daru? I have to believe that somehow Daru was involved with that. Reyes glanced at Suzuha and then slowly put the headset down over her own head.
お前、
Oh, is she
何をする
gonna...
つもりだ。
Is she like gonna erase her own memory so that they can't extract it from her?
あなたも彼女じゃなければいいんでしょ？
Oh, she's gonna take the memories. Oh shit, okay.
まさか。
言ったでしょ。ここで終われないって。
There was madness in her eyes.
そうよ。簡単な話だったんだわ。わざわざ他人を使わなくても。最初からこうすればよかったのよ。これで私はマキセ・クリスの記憶を手に入れられるの。タイム麻酔の理論を得ることもできるの。世界に確信をもたらす存在になれるのよ。
Well, the thing is, though, that if she implants the memories into her and then she dies, whether it's through suicide or not, then aren't those memories lost?
やめろ。そんなこと。
Don't use Kirisu's memories for that.
来た来た来た。誰。
今から私は時間をも支配できる存在になる。
And she couldn't help but do a monologue, huh? She said that she's only monologuing because she was trying to convince Okabe to join her team, but nah, she can't help it. She truly is a mad scientist, isn't she? Oh, come on, Daru. Rey's fingers went for the keyboard.
やめろ。
大丈夫。心配しなくても、あなたの大切な女の記憶は私がちゃんと役立ててあげる。
あった。見つけた、オカリン。
Okay, just do it, Daru.
消せ、ダル、頼む、クリスを。
Uh-oh. Did he do it in time?
あいつを解放してやってくれ。オキドキ。
Coming to me, Chris.
Well. Rey's fingers touched the keyboard. Silence. Nothing happened. There was no light or loud noise like the phone wave. Of course there wasn't. It was all going on inside her head.
どうなったんだ？
Reyes. She was in the exact same position as when she touched the keyboard, completely unmoving. Did the memories download? I steeled myself to take a closer look. And Reyes collapsed to her knees. The light hit her face, and I could finally see her expression. There was nothing there. No light, no darkness, nothing. Just hollow emptiness in her eyes. But that expression of joy she'd had when she touched the keyboard was frozen onto her cheeks.
オカリンさん、その人は。
早かったんだ。
Oh,
ダルの方が。
if she hadn't done that monologue, she would have succeeded. The folder had been emptied just before she downloaded the memories into her mind. Oh, so like, oh shit. Oh, that sucks, man. That. She's a horrible person, but that is. Oh, she's basically a zombie. She's got no memory. She doesn't have hers. She doesn't have Kirisu. She's got nothing. It's like you, like rebooted a computer, like you wiped a keyboard, or like, sorry, not a keyboard. You wiped a computer completely, and there's just nothing. She filled her head with emptiness, and now nothing was left. Not the memory she'd had before, not her own history, not her own desires. There was just an empty shell. There was just an empty shell kneeling on the ground as if praying to God.
ダル。よくやった。
Ooh.
終わったよ。何もかも。
I could hear Daru and Maho cheering from the earphone.
行こう。
I wanted to get a CG of just Reyes with that creepy look on her face. Come on, let's have that, please.
そうだな。係、歩けるか。
The only things left were dead bodies and a living corpse. Amadeus, the girl on the other side of the machine, was gone. She was gone from this world, along with the memories of the person I loved. I whispered softly to a girl who's no longer there.
また会おうな、クリス。
それじゃあ、まゆし、
Haven't seen
私
these
た
two in
ち
a
また
while.
来るね。
We have not seen these two in a while. I don't. I still don't know what to think of these two. Is Maho? Is she going to? She said that she wanted to be the one to destroy the laptop and the hard drive herself.
またね。ルカ君も今度一緒にコスプレしようね。考えておきます。オカリンさんや皆さんもお邪魔しました。
ああ、またいつでも来るといい。どうした？
オカリンさん、なんだか雰囲気変わりましたね。
そうか？
なんだか前よりずっととっつきやすくなった感じ。もう吹雪ちゃん、本人に向かって失礼だよ。へえ、楓ちゃんだってさっき言ってたじゃん。ちょっと。
やれやれ。
This seems like a decent ending, but we're not quite there yet to get the true ending. It'll be interesting to see what the next one has in store for us.
あ、それじゃあ私もそろそろおいとましますね。
あ、今日もバイト？
はい、終わったら連絡します。週末の予定決めましょう。
オッケー。じゃ、連絡待ってるよ。
Oh, this seems like a good
何？
ending.
なんだにゃ？ダルニャン、ユキニャンとかなりいい感じだにゃ。
They're dating. We managed to save Kirisu's memories from being used for evil.
そう？あ、でもフェリスタンへの愛ももちろん変わらないのだぜ。
もう、父さんたらまた。
It had been several days since then. All the chaos with Amadeus and Kirisu's memories had calmed down, and normal life had resumed. There had been no official announcements about what had happened in the basement of Tokyo Denki University. And what happened to Dr. Leskinen? Can we presume that he's probably dead? The next day, the basement had been sealed off because of what was described as a lab accident. The military, or maybe Stratfor, had covered it up. Since then, we hadn't seen anything strange going on around us. There should have been no traces that we were ever there. They probably weren't going to come after us.
それにしても、あれは何だったんだろう。
I'm just shocked that whole time there was like that whole thing about giving Okabe a gun and he didn't use it once. I thought for sure he was going to have to use it.
あれって？
あの女が係にマキセ・クリスの記憶をダウンロードしたとき、うまくいかなかったんだよ。
ただシステムがうまく作動しなかっただけじゃないん？
ダルニャンの言う通りだにゃ。考えすぎることないにゃ。そうなのかな。なんか気になるんだよね。そういえばあの時。
Kagari seemed to have been thinking of something. She opened her mouth to speak. Oh shit, what if she did end up getting her memories somehow? And then it's just like, oh, well, never mind, we didn't manage to save anything.
でも。ちょっと係、言いかけて途中でやめないでよ。気になるだろ。あの時、声が聞こえたような気がするの。声？うん。頭の奥で。誰だかわからないけど、ダメって。私、あの時のことをほとんど覚えてないから、ただの夢か何かだったのかも。アマデウス、もしかしたらアマデウスじゃないかしら。クリスが最後の最後で自分の記憶をカガリさんに上書きされるのを拒んだんじゃないかって。
真帆にしてはロジカルじゃない意見だな。
But Lukako and Mayuri stared at each other when they heard Maho's words.
その、僕たちが最後にアマデウスさんを起動した時なんですけど、途中で通信が切られたんです。 オカリンのボットさんが話してるのに、なんだかすごく慌てたみたいに切れたんだ。
Could that have been when it happened?
でも、そんなことありえるの？わからない。けど、アマデウスにも人間と同じ自己防衛本能はあるはずよ。だから、自分の記憶をよからぬことに利用されようとしているのに気づいて、ということも
Oh,
考
so
えられなくはないわ。
so that moment when Reyes was trying to implant the memories into Kagari, it wasn't Daru that managed to stop that from happening. It was Kirisu. In a different world line, Kirisu's memories had once existed inside Kagari. Maybe Kirisu had saved Kagari from experiencing the same fate here. There may have been another reason, but at least that was what I wanted to think.
なあオカリン、僕も一個わからんことがあるんだけど。
なんだ？
オカリンの話だと、これまでアマデウスが原因で何度か世界線の変動があったんだろ？でも僕たちがあの時のことを覚えてるってことは、今回は変動してないってことだよな。それはなんでなんだろう。
ああ、そのことか。
I thought about that right after what had happened.
おそらくだが、これまでの世界線の変動はアマデウスに対してアクションを起こしたことで、クリスの記憶が何者かの手に渡ったことが原因だと思われる。
Whoever had gotten the memories had used them to rewrite the past.
だが今回はその原因であるアマデウスとクリスの記憶そのものを消去した。原因が取り除かれれば、それによる世界線の変動は起きない。そういうことだろう。
The cause of the battle between Stratfor and Derpa was gone, and we'd gotten rid of the data that Kirisu had left behind. The future created by Kirisu's memories was gone, but Suzuha and Kagari were still here. They were still here, then the future hadn't changed that much. Of course, I knew that. Unless I could reach Steins Gate, the world-line convergence wouldn't change. But that didn't mean that this was for nothing. There was that small flash of insight I felt in 2036. This world was another step towards it.
で、これからどうするん？
そうだな。いろいろやるべきことはあるが、その前に。
I took something out of the pocket of my white lab coat.
さて、皆に俺からプレゼントだ。
Oh, yes! The pins.
ラボメンバージ。
Or the
俺たち
badges.
全員がこのラボのメンバーである証だ。
OSHMKUFAHSA. The badge had everyone's initials on it. Of course, Kirisu and Moeka's were there too. I'd added in Maho Hiajo, Kagari Shina, and Yuki Yamane too. Accepting the past for what it was and connecting it to the future. That was my job right now.
ラボメ。
Kagari held the badge to her chest happily.
私の宝物、一つ増えちゃった。
Maybe in one of the world lines, we'll end up like doing whatever and Kagari's going to somehow have that badge. That would just cause more confusion. The path that lay before me might be even harder than the one I traveled so far. But I knew the light was still there at the end of it.
私、クリスとオカリンさんが仲良くなれた理由、なんとなくわかる気がするわ。私も、父さんたちがどうしてあんなにもオカリンおじさんを頼りにしていたのか、やっとわかった。私も、ママがオカリンさんをずっと好きなの、わかるな。かがりちゃん、違うよ。
Cute.
マユシーはオカリンの人質で、だからそういうのとは。
なんこれ、オカリンだけモテばっかり許せん。
There was like, none of this would have happened if it hadn't been for me too.
父さんには母さんがいるでしょ。
Many different futures and many different pasts. Where they all converge, I know I'll find you. So.
ああ、俺だ。何？いつになったら助けに来るのか
Oh gosh, he's talking to himself again. Yes, I love this.
慌てるな。今はまだその時ではない。俺を誰だと思っている？いいか。狂気のマッドサイエンティスト、フォーオ隠居魔に二言はない。だから、しばし待つがよい。お前を絡め取るその時の呪縛から、いつか必ず、俺が助け出してやる。ああ、必ずだ。
Kirisu, until the day comes that we meet, all I have, I give to you.
エル、プサイ、コングルー。
Is that it? Oh, got some more. December 2011. Akihabara. A year after all the chaos, Maho visited the Future Gadget Lab for the first time in a long while.
お、来た来た。
お久しぶりね、みんな。ああ、真帆さんだ。すごく会いたかったよ。てってるー。お久しぶりです、真帆さん。元気そうで何よりだにゃ。みんな相変わらずで安心したわ。そっちこそ変わってないね。どうせ私は小さいわよ。そういう意味で言ったんじゃないって。わかってる。冗談よ。どうしたの？この一年、真帆さんに会えなくて寂しかったよ。ちょっと、そんな抱きつかなくても。
Kakari, where did you get into? I didn't realize the two of them were so close.
ごめん。本当は夏にも来たかったんだけど、大学の方でもいろいろあって。
Yeah, like Dr. Leskinen. I still want to know what happened with him. The events of last January had left deep scars on Maho's lab. Of course they had. Not only was Amadeus involved, but many people in the college, including Dr. Reyes, had been involved as well.
遠いところ、よく来てくれた、真帆。
当たり前よ。私だっていろいろと関わってきたんだもの。この目で見届けるのが務めだわ。
でも、本当にいいのか？この一年の後処理が無駄になるんだぞ。
無駄になんてならないわよ。
Oh, because they're going to be going back in time,
この
right?
世界の未来が過去につながるって言ったのはあなたでしょ？だから私はこの世界で私がすべきことをやっただけよ。
ああ、そうだったな。
I was supposed to die in 2025, but I was alive. Everyone had been fooled. The past me, everyone in the future. The world had been deceived. I thought the future was certain, but instead I found a future I didn't expect. So, wouldn't I be able to deceive the world too? And by doing so, avoid the future that awaited us? And if I could deceive the world, maybe I could find Steins Gate. But how to do so, unfortunately, was beyond me right now. But the future me had said,
シュタインズゲート世界線への道は険しい。一度や二度やり直したところでたどり着ける道ではないだろう。けれど、まずはそこから始めることがシュタインズゲートへとつながるんじゃないか。いくつもの未来の先が過去へとつながっているんじゃないか。11年前、オカリンはそう言ってた。だからさ、僕たちがいるこの世界も無駄じゃない。きっと必要な世界なんだ。少なくとも今の僕はそう思ってる。
many futures all connected to the past. That meant that there was only one thing for me to do.
橋田さん、例のものはちゃんとできたの？
もちろん、もう使えるはずだお。
Yeah, an old microwave sitting in the back of the development room, the phone wave. It was the time leap machine that Maho had helped finish. Well, Well, whether this functions the same way, I'm not sure. Daru had added a new function to
それ
it.
にしてもこんなものが世界の命運を握っていたなんてね。
That's right, everything began here. Our fate and Kirisu's had all been ruined by this device. The one difference between this and the old phone wave was that this was connected to a smartphone, not an old feature phone. Text messages to the past would be detected by CERN no matter what I did, which meant we'd become a target. That would mean taking this world that I'd gained only at the cost of sacrificing Kirisu right back to where we started. There'd be no point in that. But there were other ways to communicate now beyond simple text messages. There were other ways to send messages. The software we used now, RINE, was one of them.
名付けて D ラインってとこかな。
D-RINE, okay, instead of D-mail. Of course, the idea of using the electrons of the CRT television in the Braun Tube workshop to control gravity and create a singularity to send the message back in time was the same. Singularity used to denote the astrophysics term gravitational singularity. This refers to a place where gravity is infinite. However, the existence of such a singularity is only theoretical. Since the inside of a gravitational singularity would be impossible to observe, cannot be proven. A black hole singularity is the point created by the gravitational collapse of a star that has reached the end of its life. You can think of it as all the matter in a star within the radius of several million kilometers, compressed down into a space smaller than the period at the end of this sentence. The amount we could send was still 18 characters, same as the D-mail, but we didn't have to worry about CERN finding it. We didn't have to worry about Myri being killed. The only problem was we couldn't send messages back before we started using RINE, but there was nothing I could do about that. The most important thing to do right now was make it possible.
まったくどこにも補足されないようになんて注文つけるから結構大変だったのだぜ。抜け穴見つけるのにめっちゃ時間かかったんだからな。
He'd complained, but he'd pulled it off anyway.
さすがだ。マイフェイバリットライトアーム。
あ、何気に懐かしい響き。
でもオカリン本当にいいの？そうだにゃ。またそのことで京奈が辛い思いをするんじゃないのかにゃ。
かもしれないな。
だったら。
でもそれでも俺はやらなければならない。
オカリンさん。
The Third World War was going to happen unless I could stop it. Kagari and Suzuha's presence made that obvious. There was only one future that lay before us, but it was another piece of the path that would lead us to Steins Gate. To get there, I would have to go into the past and start over. It'd be fine. I was capable of starting over as many times as I needed to now. I could overcome anything. Until I reached the promised door, I already had the message I was going to send. Sending that message must have been why I'd come to this worldline in the first place. Of course, I didn't know what I'd think, or what I'd do when I received it. But I knew I'd be successful. I would lead us to another future, and to another past.
かがりさん、不安ですか？だって、もし過去が変わって平和な時代が来たら、ママと出会えなくなっちゃうかもしれない。かがりちゃん。
Now, you guys had that whole talk about it last route, that she'd find you.
アトラクタフィールド理論では起こるべきものは必ず起こる。そう決まっている。世界線が変わろうと君はマユリに出会うはずだ。
本
当？ああ、俺が保証する。
ママ！よかったね、かがりちゃん。オカリンが保証してくれたら安心だよ。未来でもきっと会おうね。おじさん、ありがとう。
礼を言われることじゃない。もともとは俺がまいた種だ。
And this was where things got really hard.
それでも言わせて。ありがとう。
No, look at her, she's blushing a little cute.
そのセリフ、父さんにもプリーズ。
父さんもありがとう。
もっと上目遣いで目をうるうるさせて言っておくれ、マイドーター。
When the past changed, everything I'd done in the past year would be undone. All the futures I'd experienced and all the time it took me to come back would go away too. But they wouldn't go to waste. I was here now, and in the past I was just about to begin my work. And then the future lay beyond. When all those lives came together, the door to the future would be waiting. Steins Gate would be waiting. Hell
で
yeah.
は行くぞ。
Love that.
法王院教魔の名において、これより新たなるオペレーションヘルヘイムを開始する。ラボメン全員準備はいいか。
To find the way there, I would change the past again. I love Maho. It's just like, she never quite got used to Hoi and Kiyoma. Kirisu, so that someday we can be together once more. Deceive the world, connect the possibilities. The world can be tricked. Nice. All right. I like that ending. That ending feels like it has a lot of hope to it, which is nice. Each progressive one feels like it gets more hopeful, which makes sense, right? The D-Rhine was sent. Okay, guys, that is going to do it for this episode and for this Roots. And yeah, like I said, it feels like when we started with the very first one with like the bad ending, each one got like a little bit, it felt like we got a little bit closer and everything got a little bit more hopeful. Now with the return of Koya and Kiyoma and the D-Rhine being sent, now it feels like we can deceive the world and change the future and change the past. So I'm super excited. I believe the next route is called Vega and Altair. So we're going to be starting that next time too, and then going on to get the true ending. I'm so excited. It feels like everything's coming together. Worked so hard, so many hours to get to Steins Gate, get to the good ending, get Kirisu back. So super excited. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode, enjoyed this route. Stay tuned next time for the beginning of Vega and Altair. I'll see you then. Until then, bye guys. Shoutouts to my top tier patrons: Salieri, Revealing Storm, Amlife, Icognito, Saturn Sins, Doublest 91, Harry Gazip, Kenju Storm, and Lynn's VA.